Yo, what's up everyone, and welcome back to another NPAD primetime game. I'm your host Turner, and we've got some very serious action for you today. We have the Oakland Sky Heights versus the Rotterdam Reapers, and both teams are currently sitting second in their divisions, so both teams are hoping to get their number one spot after getting a win in this series. So representing the Oakland Sky Heights, we have the captain David, who's coming in with a 4-4 record, going up against the Rotterdam Reapers representative Yellow Bazinga, who's been on fire as a rookie this season with a 3-1 record. So with the leadership, or with being leader in their divisions at stake, you're hoping to get some serious action tonight. Then we have David versus Yolo Bazinga. Hope you're buckled up and you got your snacks, cause we are about to expect fireworks. So without further ado, let's get started. So we have David opening with ace 7 off. Let me just. So we have David opening with a7 off, raising first in, YOLO re-raising at 6.2 big blinds, gives a fold out of David. Both players already battle tested, so we are hoping to see a bit of aggression in some spots, which I'm hoping to get out of this. And yeah, and hopefully this will be another entertaining match in the NPAD prime times. You have YOLO taking down the second hand. David flatting with a 10-4 suited. Players hitting nothing on the board with David betting 1.5 big blinds. Both players passive on the turn, hitting the queen of spades in the river. Players have nothing, and I'm expecting both to check down, but David bets 2 big blinds, forcing a fold out of YOLO. Okay, YOLO flats with 6-5 off and hit the 2 pair on the flop. YOLO with 1 big blind. David checking, fearing the flush. Okay, and he folds after a bet from YOLO. Both players committing 2.5 big blinds in this spot. Okay, a bit of folding action though with David winning with Jack 3 offsuit. Okay, King 5 suited from David versus 6-5 suited from YOLO. YOLO with the flush draw re-raises big and gets a fold out of David. Okay, we have 2 aces on the board with both players hitting nothing. David bets, which gets another fold out of YOLO. Okay, both players still warming up to the fixture. YOLO leading on the flop with 2 pairs with his 6-7 off. When he re-raises David's 2.5 big blinds, which gets folded. David raises first in with queen 9 off and gets a fold out of YOLO. Okay, YOLO with 6s and David re-raises for 10 big blinds. Now we have YOLO with the straight flush draw, and he gets a fold out of David after getting an all spades flop. I don't think we've had any straight flushes this season so far. Okay, now we might have some action here with YOLO leading on the turn with 7-4 suited and David playing the ace king off slowly. He hit the king, but the board paired with jacks. So does YOLO. Okay, so YOLO folds that one and folds pre-flop again with David winning with pocket sixes. Okay, YOLO seemed to flat there, and both players hitting nothing on the flop. So is the turn. Okay, no players with the ace of hearts for the royal flush. David showing that he has nothing. Okay, David's gonna raise first in with ace 3 off and gets a call out of YOLO. David hits the top pair, bets and gets a fold out of YOLO. Okay, both players putting 3 big blinds in for this pot, and YOLO gets a fold after hitting a pair of 8s on the flop. YOLO forces a fold with ace 9 off. YOLO gets 5 big blinds from David there after a re-raised with king 9 off. We're getting some really gutsy 3 bets pre-flop here from YOLO. Now YOLO with the 2 pair with his 3-10 suited, and he gets a fold out of David on the turn. David raises first in the jack 7 off, and is YOLO going to call with his king 5 suited. Okay, and on the flop David hits the 2 pair with jack 7. However, YOLO has bottom pair and a flush draw on the turn, and he leads with 2 big blinds. David re-raises to 9 big blinds, which YOLO calls. YOLO's in a sticky one here as he checks back after missing the flush draw. Is David going to bet big here? Okay, he puts in 14 big blinds with his 2 pair and gets a fold out of YOLO. Very well played there by David. I believe YOLO flattered there with his 9-7 off. Okay, gets a fold out of David after betting with the top pair on the flop. You have YOLO with pocket 9s, David raising first in with king 8 off, and David folds after YOLO 3 bets with the pocket 9s. Okay, YOLO raises 3 big blinds first in and gets called by David. They both have kings. However, YOLO has a deuce, David with the 10. So David with the high kicker here, they both hit a king. We have 2 queens on the board and a king, and David gets this one with the 10 kicker. Okay, both players are making some really big moves early on here. It's looking like they want to try and end this before overtime, but there's still a lot more hands to be played here. So after a bit of fold action, we have David raising first in with ace 2 suited, and he gets a flush draw on the flop, gets top pair on the turn. YOLO is leading, even though he has hit nothing on the board, with his 6-9 off. Checks on the river after seeing the K on the river. Okay, David's gonna bet 5 big blinds and gets a fold out of YOLO. Even though he missed the flush draw, he still had the top pair there, which was enough to scare YOLO off. So now we have David with ace king off, YOLO with ace-4 suited. YOLO still has some equity here, betting with the 3.5 big blinds, but he misses the flush on the river, meaning David is okay. However, gets a fold out of David after betting big on the river. Not a good fold from David's side, and YOLO's aggression does pay off. Okay, we have an ace, 8, 10 flop, and we have another 8 on the turn. Both players getting boats here. However, David has the higher boat. He has 10 full of 8. However, YOLO has 8 full of 10s. Okay, David betting 10 big blinds on the river. Is YOLO going to call? Oh, he calls. And he's going to see that David has the better boat. Not much value there that David got out of that hand. Could have used that opportunity to put YOLO down. Okay, so we get a flop. YOLO with ace-6 suited. He's gonna raise. He's gonna bet 2 big blinds after hitting a set of 6s on the turn. And then the river card is a king, which puts David on 2 pairs. YOLO is gonna bet on the river, and he's gonna take this pot. 26 big blinds there. Both players seem to be outwitting each other. They seem to be outwitting each other, as it's all level, with some pretty big hands, as we're now going to play the 40th hand of this game. I'm expecting YOLO to fold this one with his queen deuce off. Oh, he's going to call with the queen deuce off after David raised first in with 9-8 off. YOLO hit the top pair on the flop, however, David with a pair of 8s, and he's going to lose this pot. Another really gutsy call from YOLO there. Okay, bit of fold action. I have a feeling that this match is going to be decided by one very close one. A very close one, huh? Both players seem to know how to play against each other. David knowing how to be aggressive at the right times. Of course, with YOLO making him fold that ace-king off earlier. So now we're going to see a flop here. King. Okay. David wins with a pair of queens there. After YOLO hit nothing, David's going to raise first in with ace-6 suited and gets YOLO to fold. Okay, now we have YOLO raising first in with king 8 suited, and he's gonna get a flush draw after the flop. However, the flop has two deuces on it, which may have scared David away there. Okay, YOLO's leading on this flop with bottom pair. However, David hit a pair of 4s there. However, the aggression from YOLO caused him to fold. Okay, we're going to see a flop here of 2 5s and an ace. We have 3 clubs on the board here. YOLO with the flush draw. This 6-9 off. And can David be aggressive enough to represent the flush here, maybe? However, with that small bet, it's going to be really hard for YOLO to believe him. Of course, YOLO with the 2-pair on the river, he's going to call that all day. He's going to win that pot. Take David flat with 7-5 off. YOLO raises and gets a fold out of David with King 6 off. Okay, we might get a bit of action here. YOLO with Ace 4 off. David with pocket 5s. We're getting 2 kings by the turn here, allowing David to have the 2-pair. YOLO doesn't believe that he has a king, however, he does have pocket 5. He does have pocket 5s. YOLO thus showing David that he had an ace. Okay, YOLO gets a full out of David again. Okay, we're gonna see a flop here with YOLO hitting 2 pairs with his queen 9 off. David having nothing, folds after YOLO bets. 2.5 big blinds there. Quick fold pre-flop by David there. Okay, YOLO is going to raise 3 big blinds with 8-7 off. YOLO picking some good spots to be aggressive here. Okay, we see a flop here with both players hitting nothing. David with the 10-8 suited. He bets and gets a fold out of YOLO, who had a king high. Okay, YOLO hits bottom pair with 6-7 off. However, David with king 9 off is going to call this 3 big blind blad from YOLO. Okay, get to see a turn, and David gets the straight on the river. Okay, and YOLO believes him with that bet, and David is gonna take 12 big blinds. Okay, YOLO raises first turn with pocket 7s, gets a full out of David. Okay, David with pocket rockets is going to raise low first in. His pair of ace is still good versus YOLO's 6-9 off. YOLO bets 2 big blinds, walking into the trap. However, he does have a straight draw, and he gets the straight draw on the river. David, of course, checking back after there being 4 clubs there. Maybe a bit more aggression would have got YOLO to fold there. But that one must suck. Okay, we have YOLO winning another board with ace jack suited. Okay, and we're heading closer to overtime here. And YOLO might want to prevent this game from reaching overtime. Although he's playing very well aggressively, he does have a lower win percentage over time than David. Okay, YOLO with the pocket queens raises first in. David calls with 6-7 off. Checks after hitting nothing on the flop. David's gonna bet 3 big. YOLO's gonna bet 3 big blinds. Okay. Jams with the re-raise there, which gets a full out of David. Very, very good bet there from YOLO. Knowing how to play aggressive at the right spots. Okay, what's YOLO gonna do here with 7-3 off? He has a 2-pair on the river, 2-pair with 3s and 2s. David's gonna bet big on the river and manages to chase his He manages to chase yellow out of that one. Okay. David slowly rebuilding his deck here. Okay, both players hitting nothing on their turn. Yellow's going to bet with ace-5 off. David calls with 10-7 off. No player hitting anything on this board. YOLO winning with the ace-high. However, he needs David to check to win this. Okay, David goes all in and gets the fold of YOLO. Also, David's doing really well. Also knowing when to apply pressure at the right times. Okay, YOLO hits top pair, top kicker with ace queen suited. Gets 4 big blinds out of that one. Okay, David raises first in, 6-5 off. He was gonna 3-bet with king deuce off. Gets a fold out of David. We have about 16 hands now until overtime. David is also in a good spot for the overtime now. Okay, David's gonna bet 3 big blinds with ace-7 off. Okay, YOLO calls with queen-8 off. All players doing nothing with 5, 6, 9 on the flop. David gets a fold out of YOLO. Okay, YOLO's gonna take that one down as well. Okay, we're going to see a flop with YOLO getting a flush draw on the flop with king deuce suited. David, however, has a straight draw. Both players investing 19 big blinds total in this one. YOLO bets on the river with the lowest pair. He's gonna get a fold out of David there. Okay, YOLO raises first in with pocket queens. However, David gets a king on the flop with his king 4 suited. And YOLO gets a fold of David. Understandable there. Considering YOLO raised first in, it's more likely that he has an ace than a king. And his king wasn't that strong either. Okay, we're gonna see a board YOLO with jack 8 suited. David with queen 6 suited as well. The board pairs with 4s. David's gonna take this one down with his queen as a kicker. Okay, now we're nearing about 4 hands now. 3 hands until overtime. Is YOLO going to increase his lead here, which he does with the ace queen suited? Okay, YOLO raises first in, which gets called by David's jack 10 off. YOLO with a flush draw on the turn with his ace 6 suited, and he's going to bet 7.5 big blinds and get a fold out of David. David's gonna raise first in with queen 7 suited. YOLO calls with queen deuce off. David hitting a pair of sevens on the flop, and his bet gets a fold out of YOLO. Okay, so now we're heading into overtime. Both players playing that normal regulation time really well. YOLO knowing how to apply the right pressure in some hands, and David's going to be half of his original stack. Will he be able to regain? This is the last hand, and now we're officially in overtime. Okay, YOLO's going to 3-bet with king, queen off. David calls with ace 4 off. David getting a straight draw. And he's going to get a fold out of YOLO there. David with ace king off. However, he doesn't get to play it as YOLO folded. Okay, we're getting a good amount of action this match. Not too much folding action. Okay, YOLO's going to flat with 6-4 off. David raises with queen 10 off. The flop has 2 aces and a queen, which does help David a lot. David now with 2 pair, trying to get David to call there with his checks. But he only gets 5 big blinds out of that one. Okay, we're going to see a flop here. Both players hitting nothing. YOLO with queen deuce off. David with jack 9 off. David's gonna bet 2.5 big blinds on the flop. Gets called by YOLO, and YOLO hits a pair with his deuce, and he's gonna river the 2 pair. After both players betting 2 big blinds on the turn, David's gonna bet 7 big blinds, which is enough to get YOLO to fold there. Blinds going up again. David's slowly being put under pressure now. So is he going to be more aggressive, or is he going to wait for the right hand to go all in with? The last hand of the second overtime. Now we're going to go into the third overtime. Stacks getting halved again. David sitting on 19.5 big blinds. YOLO sitting comfortably on 30 big blinds. Okay, David's gonna raise first in with king 7 off. That 3-bet from YOLO gets a fold out of him. Okay, it seems David is going to go. Okay, it seems like David is going to play this overtime safe, considering that he's the shorter stack out of the 2. Waiting for a good hand to try and get YOLO's chips. However, YOLO is not going to make that any easier. As you can see, he's been 3-betting whenever David decided to raise first in, which doesn't seem to be helping David. Now it kind of shows that his earlier folds are making his overtime a bit harder than it should be. YOLO's going to go all in with king 9 suited. Okay. David now sitting on 4 big blinds. YOLO with ace king off. Doesn't get a call from David. David is slowly losing his stack here. He needs to get a good hand to act on there. YOLO with 9-3 suited. He's going to raise first in. Is this the hand that David decides to? He does go all in with this one. It's 66% equity pre-flop. And YOLO hits a 2-pair by the river. And that's how YOLO wins game 1 for the Rotterdam Reapers. A very close one. Both players picking the right spots to be aggressive at. Of course, YOLO deciding to do that at the better of between the two of them. A very close match, and they both did not deprive us of any action there. We have some sick runners there with David straight early on during regulation time, with YOLO also crushing David's pocket aces. But yeah, fair play to both of them, and now David's gonna be 4-5 in his overall record, and YOLO is going to be 4-1. Who's going to stop this rookie? But we'll be back for game 2, and we'll see you next time on NPAD Primetime. Peace.